Hello. My name is Todd. And I'm an alcoholic. You'll have to excuse me. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not good at speaking in front of other people. And I'm fairly new to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I just started going to meetings a few weeks ago, after I got out of detox. Now I've been sober for a little over 5 weeks. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say. I guess I have a drinking problem. I started drinking beer and smoking pot with my friends when I was around 13 years old. Over time, I have noticed that I was drinking more and more. Sometimes, I would miss a day at work because I wanted to drink instead. It seemed like all I could do was drink. It was becoming a problem for me. On New Year's Eve, I went to the city with my girlfriend to watch the fireworks celebration. We both got really drunk, and when it was midnight, I picked her up and gave her a big hug and a kiss. We both fell down, and she hit her head on the sidewalk. She got hurt, and we had to go to the hospital. That's when I decided that I'd better do something about my drinking. I checked in to AbCare Hospital's treatment program so that I could get the help I needed, and at first I was uncomfortable because everything seemed so religious. As a kid, I had always felt like I didn't belong. I was not like the other kids. I was burdened by feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. I was sure that I was a failure from the very start. Then along came alcohol and drugs. Here was the answer to all of my problems. The problem with alcohol and drugs is that they work. I found relief from my insecurities when I was high. I was introduced to kids who wore their hair long and stayed out late at night. I was welcomed into a culture that I never knew existed. Here I found acceptance, regardless of who I was or how I felt about myself. Older kids who had always picked on me seemed to forget about the past, and suddenly I was one of them. Spark it up. Grow your hair and crack another big kid. Now you're one of us. I spent my days drifting from one experiment to another. Numb out, get high, watch the colors fly. I was on a great escape from reality. Drugs and alcohol eased my depression when I needed it. They provided me with a social outlet that seemed all-inclusive. I was no longer a misfit. Now I was just like all of the other kids. If there were any troubles in my life, I could just take another slug off a beer and everything was gonna be alright. I thought, who cares about the rules? Fuck those people with all of their bullshit rules and idiotic ideas about what life is supposed to be like. They don't have a clue. Life is for getting fucked up. There I was, having the party of a lifetime, and those stupid bastards were running around in monkey suits worrying about how they were gonna pay the bills. Fuck their bills. If they only knew. Problems piled up around me, and I dismissed them, as if they were of no consequence at all. The party must go on at all costs. That's what I thought. I was numb to the reality of everything that was happening all around me. Alcohol and drugs were an effective way to self-medicate against what I perceived as an unfair life destined for failure. If I was gonna fail, I was not gonna suffer through the process. It's better to burn out than to fade away. I was gonna ride hard, play fast, and go out in a blaze of glory. Who gives a fuck? I knew that I needed to stop and find a new way to live, but it seemed so difficult. After all, I was an alcoholic, wasn't I? One day, I decided that I'd had enough. I called my supervisor at work and told him that I was having a problem controlling my drinking and that I thought I could use some help quitting. He directed me to the employee assistance program that the company had set up for this sort of thing. I called the 800 number and spent about 2 hours on the phone with the counselor. He asked me all kinds of questions about my drinking habits. I cried my eyes out like a little baby, and he told me that there was no reason to feel bad. Alcoholism is a disease. He said that it was not my fault that I was sick. This sort of thing happens to a lot of people. What you need is treatment for your disease. Don't worry, alcoholism is a very treatable disease. Soon I found myself at the doorstep of AbCare Hospital, America's premier treatment center for alcoholism. When I stepped off the elevator, I was greeted by a small plaque placed directly across from the elevator so that you could see it when you checked in. The plaque read, "Today is the first day of the rest of your life." I felt comforted knowing that I was finally doing something about my drinking problem. Here I was at one of the best treatment centers in the entire country. I was sure to get the help that I needed. I was escorted to my quarters by one of the staff. When we got to the room, he closed the door behind us and pulled out a rubber glove. He started to put the glove on, and I said, "Oh no. You're not going to do a cavity search on me." No one said that this was part of the deal. He assured me that this was just procedure. Everyone has to do it upon entry, and that the search was done to protect patients against drug dealers who frequently infiltrate the hospital. He told me that the search was mandatory, and that I had no choice in the matter. I was told that I could not check out, that I had just signed into a locked ward, and I would have to fill out paperwork that would take 3 days to process before I could leave. It was all a perfectly legal process. This is how they do it. You sign yourself in, and then you become a prisoner. The gentleman with the glove assured me that if I filed a request to leave, he would take the matter before a judge, and have a judge order me into treatment for 30 days. So, I had to let the freak with the rubber glove look up into my bum to be sure that I didn't have a case of beer stashed up there. He searched through everything I brought with me and gave me 3 books that he said would help me. Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, and Daily Reflections. I spent the next week in a Librium-induced haze, eating ice cream, and sitting around with a bunch of other patients, who exchanged stories about how many times they had relapsed, and how to manipulate doctors into prescribing the best meds for the best high. This kind of scared me. We played Scrabble, smoked cigarettes, and every once in a while, a nurse would come in to take our blood pressures, or give us some more pills. It was like walking through a cloud for a week. After a week I was transferred to another ward. It was very different on that side of the hospital. The halls were carpeted, and the rooms were more accommodating. It seemed at first to be a comfortable atmosphere, and a great place to retreat, and get my head together about this whole alcohol thing. They cut down the dosage of Librium, and my head began to clear somewhat. The meetings were endless. AA 14 hours a day. I was taught that I was powerless over alcohol, and that there was no cure for the disease. The doctors and nurses at AdCare told me that the only answer was surrender to a power greater than myself. I read the big book, and it said that I was suffering from a disease that only an act of providence could conquer. You must surrender to win, they told me. I was told that, if I refused to surrender to a power greater than myself, my future prospects would consist of either jails, institutions, or death. They asked me if I was willing to go to any lengths to solve my drinking problem, and I said, yes, I am willing to do whatever it will take. I was tired of watching the years pass, knowing that my life was being wasted. Whenever I tried to solve this problem alone, I had failed miserably. My drinking problem seemed insurmountable. Deep inside, I knew that life could be so much more. I set out to learn as much as I could about Alcoholics Anonymous and the program that people were telling me had saved so many lives. The nurses told me that, if I heal the spirit, the rest will follow. Meetings are to an alcoholic, like insulin is to the diabetic. If I don't take my medicine every day, I will get sick and drink again. I was warned about skipping meetings. I see safe harbor in the faces of these kind people, who assured me that they had found an answer to their drinking problems. I want what you people have. I have a sponsor, and he has assured me that religion is something you do when you go to church, that spirituality is living by the will of God. He said, religion is for those who don't want to go to hell. Spirituality is for those who have already been there. I was a bit uncomfortable with this at first, but my sponsor told me to ignore my fucked up thinking. It seems kind of harsh. But, my sponsor has assured me that this is what I need, if I'm ever to break the cycle of insanity in my life, and have some serenity. He told me that, if it seems like brainwashing, maybe a good brainwashing is just what I need. He also told me that I should stay away from people, places, and things that might make me drink. My girlfriend's parents always serve wine with dinner. So my sponsor said I can't go over there anymore. He said that they're alcoholics. I'm a little upset about that. But I know that my stupid fucked up thinking is not good for me. My way does not work. So I need to learn to follow directions, or I will drink again. So, there it is. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you. Thanks for letting me share it.